The development of the scientific method of research has so transformed human life that the long inherited timeless universe of symbols has collapsed. The result is that there is no hiding place for the gods from the searching telescope and the microscope. There is no such society anymore as the gods once supported. And in modern society, every last vestige of the ancient human heritage of ritual, morality, and art is in full decay. The effect for the individual is that one does not know toward what one moves. One does not know by what one is propelled. The lines of communication between the conscious and unconscious domain of the human psyche have all been cut and we have been spoken to. If there's a tragic terrorism left to contemporary men, it's that every one of us fears the supreme force, carry the cross of the regime, not in the bright moments of his Christ's great victory, but in the silences of his crucifixion. It is not so much that relatively simple matter losing favor in substance. Anything lost can be replaced by something else. What we have been dispossessed of is the capacity to believe at all. The essential virtue of faith itself, because we no longer believe in ourselves. The death of God, theologians of the 1960s missed the point. God did not die of Hiroshima or Burkhardt, nor was he a victim of a melancholy accident of the industrial, technological, or scientific revolution. In establishing the time of death, J. Miller focuses more accurately on René Descartes' 17th century pronouncement that the existence is dependent on awareness itself, merely a dramatic articulation of Renaissance individualism. Man has killed God by separating his subjectivity from everything but itself. The ego has put everything in doubt and has defied all outside itself as the object of its thinking heart. Cognitive ergo sum, the absolute certainty about the self reached by Descartes. Hyperbolic doubt leads to the assumption that things exist. For me at least, only because I think that. When everything exists only as reflected in the ego, then man has drunk up the sea. If man is defined as subject, everything else turns into object. This includes God, who now becomes merely the object of man's life. God was the creative sun, the power establishing the horizon, the heavenly becomes an object for life. When man drinks up the sea, he also drinks up God, the creator of the sea. In this way, man is the moon. In spite of continued philosophical theological debate and real thought, if man did not kill God, he at least usurped his position. In the late Middle Ages, with the rise of individualism, no matter how rationalized, faith is an admission of dependency, an acceptance of submission to a force of being not only more powerful and wiser than man, but one not subject to or explainable by any mere human faculty or agent. A God whose nature is defied, or whose actions are seen as needing to be explained, is an absurdity. To justify the ways of God to man, however powerfully intended, is itself an act of revolutionary arrogance. What has insisted mankind since the Renaissance is man's designs upon the world. What has overawed us is the mystery and wonderment of the individual. We may place in God in America upon a form, but all of our wages have been placed in ourselves. It would be peculiar not to be impressed by man's stewardship of the earth and with the extension of human intelligence and order over the world of the past 500 years. In America, whatever the failures and errors, our real and homocentric world has produced a record of imperfection in medicine, education, tourism, agriculture, the technology of work, I observe the diverse being of the choices between not setting compatibility, and I believe choices did not need made. We could have it all. We felt justified in believing ourselves lords and gods of the land. What World War II Americans have had to face is not the death of God, but the death of God we had believed ourselves to be. You understand what's happening in America? All that we had done as Americans, as post-Renaissance individualists, has been based on a confidence which may have been an arrogance and which we have come to suspect was an illusion. That humanity as a whole and we as individuals have the power to build a society, invent a culture, shape lives more just, beautiful and pleasurable than those of any other time. A basic natural goodness, both as a race of men and as persons, so that for all of our mistakes and misunderstandings, essentially we could trust our instincts and the drive of our society to lead us upwards towards the good in the direction of love, understanding, compassion. The ability to know our world, to banish ignorance, mystery, and irrationality and impose logic, order, understanding of art, and thereby establish control over the apparent confusion and anarchy of man. We, individually or collectively, have never really been as oppressive as we have seen ourselves. Yet 500 years of surging growth in every field, all supported by the enormous wealth of a new world, allows us the illusion of infinite expansion, continual expression, unlimited potential all at our disposal. The suspicions of the 19th century have become the dark certainties of the contemporary period. We have lost the only thing we have left in us. After God died, man was supposed to replace him. He grew sick of himself. This resulted in a crisis of belief and disbelief, which made the 20th century spiritually empty. We might respond that all we experience in is a painful adolescence, a throwing off of illusion. Oh yeah. But that assessment undervalues the centrality, even the creative function of illusion in our lives. We need to look more closely at what has happened in the 20th century to our sense of power, natural goodness, and ability to understand our world. Maybe we are too familiar with the evidence of how technology and technocracy have robbed us of our sense of personal worth. A future shock which leaves us numb and bubbling before the great dying force. Macludian's media technology, which so alludes our images of self, that wars necessarily result as misbegotten efforts to recover the old image. B.F. Skinner proposes a technology of behavior based on the premise that all of our actions are already controlled and freedom only a myth. Harvey Cox optimistically places man in the secular society of the giant switchboard, ignoring the obvious, that for all of the excitement of the game, the nature of the no longer functioning switchboard is a more vital fact than any given operator who sits at it. The realist answer is that technology and the media, mobility and even the technocracy, which expands all to give